Level 1 is a basement, or a storm cellar, a concrete stairwell, or the reinforced interior room of whatever building you're standing in when everything goes wrong. It wasn't built as a bunker, but in the first hours of a nuclear event, it can be the difference between life and death. Here's the science. After a nuclear detonation, fallout radiation levels in the first hour are 10 times higher than they'll be 7 hours later. A concrete basement reduces your exposure by a factor of up to 200% compared to standing outside. That's not a minor upgrade. That's the difference between a lethal dose and walking away. What Level 1 can't do, it can't filter contaminated air, store long-term water, or keep you alive past 48 to 72 hours. You're working with whatever was already there. Level 1 is not a plan. It's the absence of a plan that still keeps you alive. It buys time. What you do with that time is everything. Level 2 is the first time someone made a deliberate decision. A prefabricated steel or concrete structure buried 8 to 20 feet underground on private property. A sealed hatch. A real NBC filtration system, nuclear, biological, chemical, actively scrubbing the air instead of just hoping the concrete holds. Intentional food and water storage, chemical toilets, emergency lighting. Companies like Rising S and Atlas Survival Shelters have built entire industries around this. Since 2020, sales haven't slowed. Cost runs from $10,000 to $150,000, depending on size and spec. For that, you get days to weeks of genuine survivability instead of hours. But there are 2 limitations. First, it's fixed. If you're not home when it happens, it's useless. Second, people will know it exists. In a real collapse, a known backyard bunker is a target. A locked hatch is not the same as being completely anonymous. Level 2 is the first real bunker. But the moment you start thinking in months instead of weeks, you are going to need an upgrade. Level 3 is the first bunker that doesn't depend on the outside world functioning at all. No city water, no power grid, no supply chain. Built on remote private land, rural Montana, the Appalachians, the high desert, far enough from population centers that nobody is coming for it because nobody knows it's there. Solar with deep cycle battery banks, rainwater collection with multi-stage filtration, a hand pump well that works with zero electricity, a year or more of food reserves, ham radio, backup heating, greenhouse or seed storage for long-term food production. Entry-level builds start at $50,000. A serious self-sufficient setup for a family of 4 runs $150,000 to $300,000 minimum. The vulnerability isn't the structure, it's maintenance. Solar degrades, filters fail, batteries lose capacity. If something critical breaks 6 months into an event, the replacement part no longer exists. Level 3 is where survival stops being a reaction and starts being a way of life. But Level 4 asks a question most people completely ignore. What happens to your mind? Months in a small concrete box will break most people psychologically before the food runs out. Military research, submarine studies, and Antarctic mission data all reach the same conclusion. Mental deterioration in long-term confinement is as dangerous as any physical threat. The luxury bunker solves this. Private bedrooms, full kitchens, gyms, entertainment systems, home theaters, interior design that looks like a high-end apartment, not a fallout shelter. The survival condo in Kansas, a converted missile silo, sold individual units for $1.5 to $3 million each. Shared amenities include a pool, climbing wall, hydroponic gardens, a fish farm, and a classroom for children. Penthouses hit $4.5 million. The engineering is genuine. Military-grade life support, real blast protection, long-term supplies. These aren't wealthy people buying false security. They're buying a facility that also keeps them sane. The lesson applies to any budget. Psychological survivability isn't comfort. It's a requirement. Every level so far has been civilian. Level 5 is not. Military hardened bunkers aren't built to survive a disaster. They're built to survive a direct, deliberate attempt to destroy them. Rated to specific blast overpressure tolerances, meaning they stay functional when a nuclear weapon detonates at a defined distance away. The walls aren't rebar reinforced concrete. There are multiple feet of specially formulated high-density concrete with steel lining, mounted on internal shock absorption systems, so the structure flexes with the blast instead of shattering against it. Multi-stage airlocks, EMP hardened electronics, months of independent power, water and fuel. Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado, the NORAD facility, sits nearly 2,000 feet inside solid granite, with its internal structures mounted on 1,319 steel springs to absorb nuclear shock waves. Raven Rock, Mount Weather, Site R. These are not Cold War relics. They are staffed and operational right now. Civilians don't get access here. But what Level 5 tells you is this: people with actual intelligence about real threats decided this is what was necessary. That gap between what they built and what's available to you is worth thinking about. In the 1960s, the US buried hundreds of nuclear missiles across the Great Plains. Hardened concrete silos, hundreds of feet underground, built to survive a Soviet first strike. The Cold War ended, the missiles came out, the silos stayed. Which is Level 6. A converted missile silo is the most capable civilian survival structure that exists, not because of what the new owner built, but because of what the US government built during the most intense arms race in human history. Walls of reinforced concrete, blast doors weighing tens of thousands of pounds, depths of 50 to 185 feet, engineered to survive a nearby nuclear detonation and keep operating for months. You cannot replicate that spec at any civilian price point. It simply doesn't exist outside Cold War construction. The survival condo in Kansas, 200 feet deep, 15 floors, 14-ton blast doors, converted an Atlas F silo into a full residential complex with units selling at up to $4.5 million. Dozens of other silos are still available across the Midwest, some listed for a few $100,000 before conversion costs. The best survival infrastructure ever built is already in the ground, and some of it is for sale. Every level up to this point relied on construction, on materials, on engineering that humans can theoretically defeat. However, Level 7 uses depth. At hundreds, sometimes over 1,000 feet underground, the physics of nuclear weapons work in your favor. Shock waves attenuate through rock. Surface radiation becomes negligible at depth. The thermal pulse that ignites everything within miles of a detonation doesn't travel underground at all. The rock itself is the blast door, but building here means mining, not digging. Excavation through solid rock, reinforcement of the surrounding geology. Air shafts are engineered hundreds of feet down. Geothermal heat management. The construction cost runs into the tens to hundreds of millions of dollars. This is not a consumer product. The US government's most sensitive continuity of government facilities operate at this depth. So do classified Russian and Chinese installations, the full extent of which is not publicly known. At Level 7, the engineering question is answered. What remains is the question of what you're planning for that requires this. The answer is not reassuring. Level 8 is not a bunker. It's a city, a fully developed underground habitat capable of supporting human life indefinitely. No food from the surface, no water, no energy, no medicine, no governance, nothing from above. Ever. Every component already exists. Underground hydroponics and LED agriculture with no sunlight. Closed-loop water recycling that recaptures nearly 100% of what's used. Nuclear or geothermal power. Spacecraft-grade air recycling. Full medical facilities. Schools. Government structures. China's underground Great Wall spans thousands of miles of tunnels and is believed to include deep self-sufficient facilities far beyond any civilian structure. Russia has similar Soviet-era infrastructure. The US continuity of government network is a distributed version of the same concept. On the civilian side, Elon Musk's Boring Company has developed the tunneling technology that would make this feasible for the first time in history. Whether it gets used for transportation or survival is a decision that hasn't been made yet. Every other level on this list assumes you eventually come back up. Level 8 does not. It's built for the scenario where the surface doesn't recover, where underground isn't where you wait, it's where you live, and where the species continues by building something new beneath what was lost. 8 levels, from a basement to an underground civilization. Most people never get past level 1. Some will build level 2 this year. A small number are already underground at level 3 in counties you've never heard of, on a timeline they've already committed to. And somewhere right now, people are operating at level 5 and above in government facilities, built for scenarios the public has never been fully briefed on, who have already answered the question everyone else is still asking. More videos like this to come. Subscribe to see them.